I'm gonna make this video for the young black professional. The young this video is titled YBA, Young Black and Articulate. Young Black and Articulate. What does it mean to be young, black, and articulate? Young, from other people's perspective, the things that you want. Let's talk about $100,000 salary. Let's talk about an office of your own. Let's talk about the ability to work from wherever you want to work from. Let's talk about all of the things that's on all of our wish lists. It don't matter if you in college or if you freaking 50 years old, still working at your company, whatever the case may be. There's things that you want out of this shit, right? But when you're young, there's people who tell you that there's a ladder you got to climb to get there. No, you're not ready for this amount of money because you need this amount of experience to be able to be ready for that. But then you can push back to that and say, well, I've been a part of this project. I've worked on this. I'm fine to be thrown in the fire in this way. I'm fine to be, brought into this work stream to work on this. I understand that I may not know how to do this, but it wouldn't take me a long time for me to learn it. Those are all of the things that come with being young, right? What does it mean to be black, right? What it means to be black is that no matter how you feel about it, people see you and they see that you're black. And that may be just an initial thought that passes after, the first impression, but the first impression is that you're black. And why is that important, right? Why does skin color matter? Why does any of that stuff matter, right? This is the best way I can explain how being black matters, okay? Neil deGrasse Tyson is from New York City. He's a black man. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is the person who, when there's something going on in the atmosphere, when there's something going on out of space, right? We see in these cases of, there is signs of life that's not from Earth. We want to know if things, all these things about the Earth, right? All of these things about astrophysics, right? Because that's his niche. They talk to him about it. They respect him on that level, right? He was able to show us that that's what a black person looks like. Barack Obama, from Chicago, went and sat in the seat. He's the one who proved to black people that you can be black and run the country and lead people that aren't just your people, right? Those are two cases of being black. This third case I'm going to give you is the case where I'm walking to the store or something like that, and I see a group of black people with masks on, and they're being disruptive. They're causing an issue. They're causing a scene. They might be out there fighting. They might be doing anything. I remember one day, me and my brothers were playing basketball. We were getting off the train on State Street, and we look over the rail, and we heard a whole bunch of gunshots go off. It was 100 kids out there. All of them were black. And we go on the news that night. 4 people ended up getting shot. And everything that had to do with that case and that situation, all of those kids were black. That was a black moment. Those are the 3 different ways to view what a black person is. And me personally, as a black person, I have to embody the reality of all 3 of those cases, right? And there's so many more cases, right? We could talk about athletes, we could talk about streets, we could talk about all the different uses, we could talk about married couples. There's a bunch of different things that is black culture, right? But when we think about the workplace and when we thinking about what it means to walk into these rooms, you got to understand that even if you represent yourself in the best possible way for yourself, people see your culture, and people will attach whatever their knowledge of your culture is to you, and you got to hope that they attach the right thing. So I hope that when I walk in the room, the people who I work with and the people who witness me, they see a young Barack Obama, or they see a young Neil deGrasse Tyson, and they don't see the young kid who don't know no better, who's here to cause a problem and here to hurt people. That's what I hope they don't see, but that's the reality of being black, right? And last but not least, my favorite part is being articulate, right? What does it mean to be articulate? That means that you belong in the rooms that you're in. That means that the reason that you're in that room is because you have something to offer to that room. You have authority in that room. And when I say authority, that means that you walk into that room with an energy, a mindset, an idea that nobody else possesses, but that room needs it. So you owe that room your best self. That's what it means to be articulate. To be all three of those things is a challenge. To be all three of those things is a real challenge. And this is what I'm going to say about that is that, bro, don't you at all feel like you're not doing your job or you're not doing the right thing or you're not showing up correctly because you sit where you're comfortable, you speak when you have something to speak about, you ask questions that you would like an answer to versus asking questions and then people opening up a can of worms and swirling your question because you asked it. No, be okay with telling people, yeah, I asked this question because I needed an answer to that question because it's going to inform this other thing that I'm working on. I have an aim and I have a reason why I asked you the question. And a lot of times when you're in these spaces, people take questions offensively almost, and they like, man, you should know this. Why are you asking me this? And then they swirl it and then they turn it into this thing that is not necessary, if I'm being completely honest. But that's part of being young, black, and articulate in these spaces, is that a lot of people will put you in a position where you have to overextend yourself to be able to accomplish your goal, or you have to, be more than who you're comfortable to be because they have, expectations and whatever it is of you that you don't even have it yourself. Who are these people in these positions to tell me where I'm headed versus me setting the aim, and y'all helping me get to where it is that I'm hoping to get. And if you can't help me get there, then I have the choice to either leave and go get where I'm trying to get or stay and align with the objectives and the goals of the company, right? That's the way it works. That's the way all of this stuff works, right? The only reason I'm speaking to this is because I'm 26, I'm a young professional, and I feel like I'm doing this shit well. I feel like I understand my work. I feel like my team likes me. I feel like my team is people who don't have the same skin color as me. Some of them do, some of them don't. It matters, but it doesn't in the sense of I'm articulate, though. You feel me? I can come into the room. What are we talking about today? Cool. Well, this is my idea on it. This is my perspective on it. This is how I can push us forward. This is how I can, help us accomplish this, right? I feel like I'm young, black, articulate, and doing well in my space. And philanthropy and, like psychologists and all of these people, they study things like the minority in the workspace. You feel me? They really study these things. And I don't want anybody to receive those studies and then internalize it and then be steered away from this workplace and be steered away from their skill set and be steered away from what it is they could be in these places. Because I hope to be a lead one day for this company. I hope to be a lead. I hope to make a bunch of money with this company. I hope to make a bunch of money for this company. I hope to continue to build upon my skill set, continue to develop, continue to be the best professional I can be. Also, I hope to take my experience and give it back to people who are just like me, young, black, articulate, with charisma, with style, with a different way of doing things, with a different way of seeing things. And when you leave the workplace, a different life to live, completely different life to live, right? Just like, you could be white, Mexican, indifferent, whatever it is, you could be a Smurf. You're going to leave a workplace with a completely different life than me, right? That's the reality of this. That's what Sonder is, the concept of all of us living a life just as complex as the next person's, even the random walking on the street. Right? But I want everybody to not be shied away from going and being the best version of yourself in the world that may or may not look like you. Because at the end of the day, when you're articulate, that also means that you're qualified off rips. Young, black, all of that type of shit, they gonna make it seem like it's subjective. You gonna make it seem like it's subjective. But the truth of the matter is that if you know what you're talking about and you know how to handle business and you're a professional, you're going to be straight. You're going to be straight. So it's cool to be young. It's cool to be black. It's mandatory to be articulate. And that's how you survive. And that's how you win. So, passing this on to the audience. Love you all so much. And happy Friday. See you next time.